Are you recording now, Libby?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you all doing?
Great.
It's so good to be here. Are any of you from, I know you're Californian. Is anyone from Ohio? Any local folk? Or y'all came from, where did you come from?
We're like Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay,
Yeah.
I heard Maryland.
Maryland is in Pittsburgh now.
And you all are Canada. Well, welcome. Can we go back with you, please? And what about you?
Miami, Florida.
Oh, fun. Okay, and you're
Originally from California, now Provincetown, Massachusetts.
fun. Awesome. Well, why don't you scoot over so you're not, you want to stay where you are? It's up to you.
Whatever makes you feel better.
You just seem like so far away. I need my security right now.
Emotional support.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and, yeah, like I said, get started, and I want to do some introductions. Do you all feel like you want to introduce yourselves to each other, or do people know each other? I don't know what how much time you've had to interact with other people. Like if we do like a brief introduction, is that good for folks? Okay, cool. So I'll start. My name is Reverend Olivia Hamilton. I'm an Episcopal priest. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, so about, I don't know, what is it, 2 hours south. I serve the Diocese of Southern Ohio, which is the whole bottom half of the state. So we do have a church here in Dublin, St. Pat's, which is awesome. I work a lot with our summer camp, which is in London, Ohio, also about 20 minutes away. And I am here because I'm trying to do the backtrack. I got an email from Marianne because she gets a newsletter written by a queer Catholic person who found out about this youth program that we're offering in Southern Ohio, and she was like, Ohio, queer youth, like we're coming to Dublin, let's connect. So that was a couple, well, gosh, when was that? That was in January. So yeah, so hello, welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you. So at her invitation, I'm here to talk about our Divine program, and I'll get more into that later, but let's go around, and my pronouns are she, her, and I invite you to share who you are. You just heard where folks are from, and I would love if you could also share, because we're going to be talking about young people, like teenagers particularly, I would love for you to share a song, a movie, or something else that you loved when you were a teenager, which for some of you may have been in a different time than today. I was a teenager like 20 years ago, so that's wild. Yeah, so we're going to start on this side and we'll just kind of go around. Oh gosh, I don't know about a favorite movie. I'm not a big cinema buff, but when I was a teenager, I loved this band called Weezer. They're still around, but I was like an original fan like in the early 2000s before they blew up. So yeah, go for it.
Good morning. My name is Deneen Trombetti, and I will be co-presenting with Olivia. I am from the Episcopal Diocese of Southern Ohio as well, and help Olivia as a facilitator, a co-facilitator of the program. And I grew up in Columbus here, but actually lived in Lebanon, which is about an hour south, hour and a half south. Depends on how heavy my foot is feeling at the time. and so I was able to come up with Olivia and bring her right to the place.
You don't have to tell us when you were a teenager. You just have to tell us something you liked when you were a teenager.
Well, there's two things that when I was a teenager, it's a favorite movie, and number one is going to tell you how schmaltzy I am, which I don't like to tell people, but they end up figuring out after they know me for a while, and how old I am. So my favorite movie growing up, and it still to this day, is a movie with Jane Seymour and Christopher Reeve called somewhere in time. And, yeah, it was.
Somebody told me I look like Jane Seymour once, and I was like, I don't see it, but anyways,
It's there.
I guess.
But, and now she's doing, aging commercials and stuff like that. But if you get a chance, it's very schmaltzy. It takes place up in Mackinac Island in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is beautiful, but it is quite dated, but absolutely love it.
Yay. Thanks, Deneen. You don't have to stand when you talk, we just are in the front. But yeah, go ahead, you want to start? And yeah, we'll just go down the line.
Hi everyone, my name is Andres. I'm coming from Canada, Edmonton. Originally from Colombia, pronounced Kiki. That brought me to the conference was more like personal with my spouse, and first time we had the opportunity to be in a space Catholic, also ecumenical, also related to sexual diversity. So it's the first time. We're so excited. And today's particular talk is because I have had some roles in St. Joseph College. So it's a college that is part of the University of Alberta. It's usually young people, so I would really want to know some tools to support people, especially like sexually diverse individuals in the college.
Awesome.
Some movies I like, Angels and Demons, and also Da Vinci Code.
Oh.
And Harry Potter.
The whole Harry Potter series. Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. You want to go ahead?
I'm Oscar, 18 from Dublin, also from Colombia. We lived in Canada 7 years ago. Yeah, Harry Potter is my favorite.
Yay.
I think I watched it once all of them.
Oh, wow.
I still watch it.
True fan. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
I am Olivia from my Florida. And what brings me here is specifically this workshop. I'm a mental health therapist and a spiritual director. And a lot of my therapies and clients are LGBTQ young adults. And I worked in a university for a long time. So working with young adults and especially non-affirming Latino parents is something I'm in the space of. So
Yeah.
I'm here to learn. And as a teenager, I just remember liking like angry girl music. Just like, and now I have a 10-year-old who like just exudes that energy.
Yes.
Like, my life is just so hard.
Right.
And
And
no
you
one,
can't possibly understand.
and no one understands me.
Right.
But, and I like really had a privileged upbringing. But I just remember I just really identified with everything that was like, I specifically remember, I remember leading a retreat in high school, and the song I chose was Crawling in My Skin. It's so cringe, right? But it's like, yeah. And it was like at this all-girl Catholic school. So now I know, like, when my kid is like, this is the worst day of my whole life. I'm like, where is she better?
Yeah. You're like, okay. My 4-year-old daughter recently rolled her eyes at me, and she said, we were at the pool, and she said, put your face away. I don't want to look at it. And I was like,
Whoa.
So like, I feel like I have it coming.
Yeah.
She's 4.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm Bill, and I'm from Pittsburgh, and I'm a teacher, so definitely like drawn to the topic of supporting LGBT youth, and especially on the parish level, what more I can be doing with that. As a teenager, just all this conversation made me think of like some of my cringy teenager stuff. I think definitely like in high school, my favorite movie was Rocky. Just like, it's so muscly, great story, just a sad, muscly man, and it's just so good. And music-wise, I was very into the White Stripes, because I could play that on guitar. Like, this is my life. So, White Blood Cells was my favorite album.
Favorite album.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
I'm Gertrude, I'm also from Pittsburgh, and I'm also a teacher. So if I were to say for being in this
Wait,
session.
you'll know each other?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
I thought so, but I was like, I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, so teacher, that's why I chose this session.
Yeah, 1946.
Cool. Well,
Let's go.
yeah, okay. So a little, you were not watching it as a teenager when it came out. You were
No, I was
watching it.
watching it as a DVD.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Libby.
Hi, I'm Libby, Cheeker. I'm from the Philadelphia area, so Rocky. Like,
Yeah.
yes. I'm the Dignity intern for the summer. I'm helping out with a lot of the visual stuff, visual marketing, graphic design, illustration. And I was a teenager and technically until a year ago, so I was really big into Moomin, which is a Finnish cartoon of like this little like fat white hippopotamus looking thing. Okay, it's adorable. Moomin. M-O-O-M-I-N. Two O's. And it had like a really cool visual style, and it like definitely influenced my art. I also love the Studio Ghibli movies. I've watched like each one at least 3 times, and I was like, I don't know, super formative. I love both of those things.
Awesome. Thanks. All the way in the back.
Hey all, my name is Kate Gardner. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I am on the board of directors for Dignity USA. So if you'll ever need anything chapter-wise, caucus-wise, anything related to the conference, please come see me. I'm happy to help. I was really excited that I got assigned to this session because I also am a teacher. I'm in Central Maryland, so it's a little bit of a different landscape than in Pittsburgh, but still definitely a space where anything that we can do, especially in intersectional work, is super important in supporting our youth. And when I was a teenager, my absolute favorite show was Parks and Recreation. I watched through the entire series, except for season 7, because season 7 was a disaster show. Probably like 3 or 4 times, because it was just like, especially if I was even like studying for AP test or something, it was such a comfort show that I could like put it on in the background, tune it out, and just get my work done.
Lovely. Thank you. Yes, I just heard someone refer to it. It is a term for like shows that you've seen so much that it's like comfort media that like is soothing because you don't have there's no suspense. It's just like, no, I know what's gonna happen. Like it's it. Anyways, for those who walked in later, we're just sharing our name, pronoun, where you're from, and since we're talking about youth, share something that you loved, show, music, or anything you really loved as a teen or tween. So we're gonna go to you. Yes, right here in the.
I live in Hawaii, but I grew up in northern Indiana. Let's see, I was secretary of the board of executive for a couple of years with Dignity in Hawaii. And let's see, I'm still trying to wake up because it's certainly at 4 a.m. in Hawaii. Let's see, before I retired, I worked for the city and county of Hawaii and budget personal services. I was in charge of the payroll for the fire department, and let's see, what else?
Something you loved as a teenager.
Something I loved as a teenager.
And your name, because I don't think you said your name.
Oh, my name's Vern.
Vern.
You know what I mean, Vern?
Okay, yeah.
And okay, as a teenager, I loved it when people didn't call me faggot and sissy.
So yeah, that was it. Yeah.
What else? I don't know.
What kind of music? The movies?
Well, when I was in college, I liked hard rock music.
Yeah.
and folk music too.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Vern.
Okay.
So glad to have you here. Yeah, it's 4 a.m. your time, so just ease into the session. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I have a hard time hearing the back, so
Yeah.
this is easier. I know they have these.
Right.
So this tends to be part of this. This is my website.
Yeah.
I am Alan, a scholar in the we have to do pronouns, right? So we're talking about family.
Something you liked as a teenager. Yeah.
You might be in my generation. I enjoyed watching growing up as remember the Partridge Family? Was it? Yeah.
Throwback, yeah.
And the Wattens.
I never tuned in.
And then, Johnson Piper was the other. But all those cartoons. And that was me brothers.
Nice. Thanks, Alan.
I'm Kevin Scott from Madison, Wisconsin area. I use he, him. I love the Muppets. And it was safe, non-sexual, and I could have Miss Piggy in the inside of my locker, a poster of Miss Piggy. And I kind of I didn't get out much, so I loved polkas because they were so energetic. And we had albums at home I could play.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Ken.
Hi, I'm Bob Yalovich of Washington D.C. area. I've been in the dignity forever, chair of everything. Now I'm just an older man with a lot of opinions and no responsibility.
Freedom.
Yeah, your questions about the teenagers, good provocative, and what came to mind, in the movies, the sword and sandal spectacles, Steve Reeves running around in his short shorts.
What was it called?
Sword and sandal, the Roman gladiator.
Oh, yes.
Slaves.
Yeah.
They were. There's a lot of flesh.
Nothing homoerotic about it.
Anyhow, that's it. And from television, I'll date myself here. Two things. We never missed the Lone Ranger, and went to the Boston Harrier.
Nice.
And I like David. Ricky was too young. His brother David was more my age.
Awesome.
And I said, I thought about your question. I had a crush on Jim Alice. I think Jim Alice in the movie was something. And that's probably before a lot of you were born.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. We're glad you're here.
Okay.
Kevin?
So I'm Kevin, grew up in California. My favorite TV show, although not this was Pee Wee's Big Show.
Oh, yeah.
And I just loved how goofy it was, how funky it was, and I also liked alternative rock, and I watched John Waters movies, like all of
Oh, yeah, sure.
Midnight
Yeah,
movies with my
awesome.
high school and college friends. I am a gay dad of two sons who are in their 20s. It's kind of interesting, their choices are more, they like anime.
Yeah.
They both do, but they also listen to rap music, which has these lyrics that are sometimes inappropriate.
Yeah.
Or from my point of view.
Sure.
And so sometimes I realize I have to step back and say, I kind of stepped out of the norm of the kinds of music that I listen to and the things that I watched or whatever.
Yeah. Very generous of you as a father. Yeah. Mark?
Oh boy. So Mark Fuentes, I'm from California. My husband's an Episcopal priest, and he was born and grew up in Mansfield, which is north central Ohio. So we're kind of visiting family and stuff. Pronouns he, him. Favorite movies? Boy, a couple of these come to mind, although it might not have been my teens, maybe it's a little preteen. Airplane is one of my favorite movies. If you've never seen it, it's pretty funny. It's probably dated now, but and there was a kind of oddball series that ran for a couple of years. I saw it in syndication from England called UFO. So just an odd kind of thing about a secret organization fighting aliens that were trying to come to Earth and steal body parts and things like that.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks Mark. Do you want to share, share your name, pronouns, and we're talking about what we liked as teenagers.
Yeah, so I'm Anna Riley. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I use her pronouns, and I was obsessed with K-pop.
Oh, K-pop. Yeah.
Before it was cool. Okay?
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, welcome again, everyone. That was great to get to know everyone, but now we're going to be on a super fast track to get you all the information that you need and that you came for in our remaining 40-ish minutes. So I guess I'm going to go a little off the cuff here, and let's do a show of hands. So I'm going to say a statement, and this would be I wholeheartedly agree with the statement. This would be I don't agree, and this would be like, I somewhat agree. So let's see. The first statement. I feel like I have the tools I need to be able to be in supportive relationship with LGBT youth. By youth, I'm talking young adult and younger. So I feel like I have the tools. Yes, I do. No, I don't. I'm somewhere in the middle. Okay. Let's see. When I was young, and regardless of your identity, when I was young, I had people in my life who saw me for who I really was, and who, let's see, the word dignity is in my mind because of what we're doing and where we are, but who treated me with dignity. When I was a young person, there were people in my life who saw me for who I was and treated me with dignity. Yes, no, somewhere in the middle. Okay. How about, let's do one more. This is good. We're kind of all over, so that's perfect. The last one I'm going to ask is, I have two. I'm fearful for the world for LGBTQ youth. Feel fearful for them or the world. Yes, no, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in the middle too. Because the last question, I have hope for the future for LGBTQ youth. So sometimes fear and hope can exist simultaneously. Okay. Where are you in the middle? You're just.
Yeah, I'm very conservative now.
You're very, no, okay, you're down. Yeah, okay. Whew, so I just want to get a temperature check. I kind of thought we'd have some diversity in how we responded to those, but I will say the way that you're talking about John Waters, our program is called Divine, and the way that it started was a group of us got together a few summers ago from our diocese and said, you know what, we have these rainbow, do I need to use a mic? Or am I?
I think you'll be fine.
I think you're okay. You're
Okay. Yeah. So we got together and we said, we have rainbow stickers on our website. We have a booth at Pride. We maybe have a little thing on our bulletin board that says that we're LGBT friendly. And what are we actually doing in a tangible way to support LGBTQ youth? And one of my concerns, my background is in chaplaincy, hospital chaplaincy, where I worked in a psychiatric unit for teenagers, many of whom were LGBTQ, many of whom were experiencing, increase and even crisis level anxiety, depression, suicidality. And I thought to myself, just having a rainbow on our website, that's not enough. And honestly, there are also churches who maybe do that, but then when you go and you show up, they might not have the tools that they need to know how to adequately welcome and be hospitable to LGBTQ youth. So we decided we're going to do this youth group for queer youth, and we call it Divine. And we also The person I developed it with is a Catholic lay man who's a school principal. So he has an educational background, and he helped to kind of develop the lesson plans because he thinks in that kind of way. But he was saying for many of the Catholic students at his school that there just weren't a lot of avenues to turn to. And what he brought to the table, which I think is so important, is also saying the parents need a place to connect as well. So what wound up being primarily initially about supporting youth turned into supporting the whole family system from which the young person comes, because we realized, especially during COVID, I think we ran our first program in 2022, there was so much isolation. It was a double isolation of having a queer or trans kid and trying to learn how to integrate into the broader system, and then COVID, meaning there weren't in-person support groups, like there weren't a lot of avenues for support. So we put together the Divine program, and it's basically, what I want to impart off the bat is we did it for 5 weeks. We had the whole family, our parents and their kids come. We had dinner, we provided a really nice dinner, so I got a little grant to, I didn't want people to, I didn't want it to be a potluck. I wanted, we're gonna feed you, we're gonna nourish you, we're gonna really give you some good food. And they would come for 5 weeks, and we would all gather together for a meal, and then the parents would have their own space facilitated by my co-pilot, and then the youth would have their own space. And we found that was so helpful, and actually we wound up feeling like we were ministering more to the parents than anyone, because the youth, this is anecdotal, but the youth were kind of like, yeah, we're cool, we're here, we're queer, whatever, but the parents were actually needing some more coming alongside to say, okay, well, it's Thanksgiving, we're gonna see Uncle Jim, he's not gonna be, how, role playing, how are we gonna have these conversations? We did it in a specific way, but what I want to show you and what I want to talk about is that all of the resources that we use, so the lesson plans, the readings, everything we use is all available for free online. And this is a program that you could say, well, in my context, I don't have a lot of teenagers, but I do have a lot of college students. So maybe we get a group of 5 college students together to do this program. Everything you have, or everything you would need, minus the food, because can't help with that, but raise a little money, you'll get it together. Everything you need would be on our website, and we would love to see it piloted in Catholic parishes, with college students, with, maybe not in a public school setting since it's religious, but you get the drift. So I'm going to show you the website, but first I wanted to give you a little background about the Divine program. I want to introduce Deneen, who's one of our adult mentors and facilitators, who's going to, for 4 or 5 minutes, share about her experience being part of the program.
So I completely missed the instructions. I go by she, her. So I gotta get that in here real quick. And Olivia is much better at doing public speaking, and I need crutches. So the program came together. Olivia sent it out to the parishes and said, is there anybody that's interested in being a mentor? And I contacted her. And at the risk of sounding really cliche, it was really deeply fulfilling. To hold the space for those who are navigating what is going on in their lives. Maybe they're having problems with their parents, not sure how to come out, those kinds of things. Dealing with internal conflict or rejection in school or bullying or, those kinds of things. Obviously, they get it from school, and now they're getting it from our political climate, and the walls just kind of feel like they might be closing in, so it's very awesome to have a space there and to be part of their progress. It's also quite an experience to watch them form bonds with each other. We had quite a range of youth.
I think they know everything, but they're still kids.
So I think even the bonding between them, they didn't all know each other in the very beginning, so to watch those bonds form and their camaraderie, and I think by the second week they had a group text going, and so it was very very interesting, like when they would find that relaxation, like, oh, I found my people, I can be who I am here. So that was really interesting to watch. And for me, I also got to model faith in action. You know, be a living example of accepting people who they are and where they are. Simply showing up for someone who fully accepts themselves, you know, fully accepts them, who reinforces that they are beloved children of God, period. Full stop. Just as they are. And seeing that and delivering that to them can be sometimes just radically changing of how they see themselves and how they see God and how their relationship might continue to grow. Mentoring was truly a gift for me, and I learned a lot of things from mentoring. The first thing would be the power of just showing up. Showing up. Presence matters more than perfection. So even, you know, I am not a public speaker, so sometimes just be showing up and talking with people, that's the most important. If I screwed up, obviously, my pronouns, but being here I think matters. Just being a safe, affirming adult in a faith space is revolutionary for some, because parents and sometimes they're just not having that, you know, that comfort and mentoring with that. Representation in faith spaces isn't optional, it's vital, especially now more than ever. So any way that you can work that in is very sacred and consistent, you know, being there consistently and caring for people can be a very sacred thing. And as Olivia said, while my primary concentration and focus were on the youth, I found that the adults needed just as much support. And I could be there as a person who was an adult, who was queer. Not only, that I can share my struggles with faith, appropriately, of course. And it was very important to them and very meaningful, and to the parents, the caretakers, the adults, to see what honest, evolving, faith-filled queer adulthood looks like. So therefore I was supporting the youth indirectly, so I'm still there. And God speaks through those stories too. So having those stories in conversations with the adults as well as the children, God is there and speaking to them through you. The most important thing that I learned is we need more advocacy in our churches, in our communities. It's what God has called us to do. And not just in the queer communities, but of all the marginalized, but specifically for our queer youth. How would a program like this have supported me when I was a teen? I can't help but think it could have been profoundly life-changing for me. I grew up in a faith tradition that it was bad, that it was a sin. I didn't get to come out till I was almost 21. I mean, that's almost a quarter of my life that I didn't get to be me. And I didn't get to be nurtured as me, and told I was bad, and told I was broken. And just, judged right and left. Hearing God loves me and actually believing it, a message of love as opposed to condemnation, means the world. That being queer doesn't mean being separated from God, and that I belong in the church just as I am, and that I am a child of God. And seeing positive role models in my church, and queer people living authentically, normal as I'll get up, and I do say normal because I know that's a very broad subject. And I would have probably had healthier self-esteem. When you're being told, I love you but, God loves you but, that kind of takes the self-esteem. and to have the freedom to ask questions. It's, to discern things, to, ask about questions about sexuality and morality and gender and all the things that youth are so afraid to ask about, and to create that space for that to come out for them. We also, maybe you have heard it, maybe you haven't, but LGBTQ plus youth, with one affirming community or adult are much less likely to experience depression, self-harm, or suicidal ideation. And we need to save our kids.
So I'm gonna show you our website, which the laptop keeps falling asleep, but I want to show you this, and then we're gonna do a little activity as though we're doing the Divine series together to give you a little taste and see of what it's like. But let me pull up the website. One of the things I wanted to say, kind of related to what Deneen was talking about, is I think a lot of LGBT youth are afraid to tell their friends that they're Christian, right? So I really strove, and I'm striving to create a space where you don't have to check any part of your identity at the door, because so many of us find we don't want to tell our Christian friends we're gay, we don't want to tell our gay friends we're Christian, then we wind up in this little sad little sliver where we're like, the Venn diagram is small of people who I can really be myself around. So the program was designed in a sense to say, you're 14, you don't have to have your faith all figured out, but I at least want to create a space where you can feel empowered to explore it. Some of our kids were experiencing spiritual struggle, some of them not, but we wanted to just create that opportunity to say, we can talk about God and we can talk about gay at the same time, and nothing's gonna spontaneously combust, this is okay, right? So let me pull up our website, and this is like I said, it's a kind of open source in the sense that everything we did is on our website, and this is our tagline. You, yes, you are made in the image of God. And when you go, these are not actual participants in our program, these are stock photos of fun queer youth doing their fun queer things, but when you go to the website, you'll see about, which is gonna, kind of reinforce what I've already spoken about. The idea here being that, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but queer and trans youth are not a mistake. Something didn't go wrong. I think we've been in a place as an LGBT community for a long time of just trying so hard to get a place at the table, but now I think we can be in a place of saying, it's not just that we deserve a place at the table, it's that we actually have different and unique and amazing skill sets and perspectives to offer to the church that not everybody has. So I invite you, as we're talking about this, to think about, in your own identity, what are those unique gifts and skills that you bring that can shape the future of the church? For me, I think the fact that I don't see things in a black and white binary kind of way means that I can be more creative about how I think about God and how I experience God, because I believe that whenever we try to put God into a box, right? It's just what? Even putting language on God, saying God is this way or that way, saying God is he or she or whatever, just limits our imagination. So this is a little bit about the why, but what I really want to show you is the resources, which is, like I said, it was a 5-week program, and essentially anything you would need to lead this program in your own context is here. There are readings for every week. there are lesson plans that say like, you need markers on paper. Like, it's like really spelled out really clear how to, you know, just add water and stir it. And on the other hand, if you think, well, this might be a little too advanced for the group I'm working with, you can just use it as a kind of scaffolding or template and fill it in with resources that you think might be more suited to the exact group you're working with. But I want to show you also our initial survey, because like I said, Mike, who helped me with this, is a real education nerd. He's like, we have to have outcomes, right? Like, we have to know like if what we're doing is working. So we came up with this survey which asks questions, and then kind of like we did earlier, helps to see where are the youth and the parents at the beginning of the program, and are they moving in the direction of acceptance, feeling supported, having resources, knowing what those resources are. And what we found was that they were. Like, the program actually meets, it's not just like, oh, we think in theory this is a good thing. It's like, no, this is actually achieving the goals that we set out to achieve. And so this survey that we developed kind of helps to get your team around, yeah, we could just have a youth group where kids go to the, I don't know, skating rink, but we want to talk about faith. Like, we don't want, we want a social accepting environment, and we feel like we bring particular skills around helping them to see a place for themselves within Christianity, or standing up for themselves when they face discrimination. So we might have had a week that was about self-advocacy, and really like the youth would bring a tough situation that they're dealing with and say, what would you do in this situation? We had a week that was all about coming out conversations, and honestly, to be able to say, or to be able to work with the youth to say, maybe coming out to grandpa isn't safe right now, and that's okay, but who is, you know, giving them that sense of agency around that circle of, you know, relationship, and really giving them tools that they need in real life situations to be able to advocate for themselves is very helpful. I also want to show you under resources, my good friend Lizzie is a chaplain. We work together at Children's Hospital, and she's developed an awesome document that's called Supporting the Spiritual Wellbeing of Tweens and Teens. That is like, for those who are like, I don't know if I feel equipped to talk to teens about spirituality, these are some great tips and tricks. Because honestly, I find that when you actually ask people about things that are meaningful, regardless of their age, they're eager to share, right? Giving people that listening ear in that space can be super helpful. And this is all geared towards working with young people. And then one other thing I want to do before we go into the activity is show you, we have done a lot of vetting of different books and resources. And again, these are all on the website, some for adults and some for youth. And if you just wanted a place to kind of start off, there's some materials out there that are better than others, and we think these are really good ones. Especially want to commend to you this book, which is written by a friend of mine who's an American Baptist pastor. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, hold on. His name is Cody Sanders, and he has written an amazing, we give this to all of our mentors, it's an amazing resource guide, whether you're part of the LGBT community or not, about how to minister to that community. So I highly recommend it. It's very accessible, but it's not like watered down, you know what I mean? Like it's still like, I read it and learned a lot. So all of those resources are on our website. And the website is, I didn't bring like a QR code, but it's, can you all see, it's U-R-Divine.
R like A-R-E or R like a letter?
A-R-E. sorry,
No, that's okay.
yourdivine.com. And yeah, everything I'm showing you is there. What I want to do in the remaining like 10, 12 minutes. Well, first I want to pause. Does anyone have, like, we talked about in our Bible study, we talked about ABCD, amazed, bothered, confused, or delighted. So do you have anything that I've said or that we've said that you're like amazed, bothered, confused, or delighted by?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How were you able to advertise this within, I mean, to get the most people in need or whatever, but also protect the privacy of parents and children who might not want it to be too highly publicized?
That's a really good question that we've spent a lot of time discerning. We advertised it really broadly through the Episcopal Diocese and through local high schools, including all of the Catholic schools. We sent them mailings, which some of them may have pitched, but maybe some of them, you know, we don't know exactly how people showed up, but we required them to basically RSVP and determine that they were a good fit and not a troll, and then we would give out the information of where we were meeting, versus saying like, all these queer kids are gonna be at Calvary Church on Tuesday night, which unfortunately we have to think in that kind of way. So we publicized that it was happening, but not the exact details. And yeah, and most of the people that came were by word of mouth, which is great, it's fine. But that's one of our continuing things, is to think about who are the folks that could really use something like this that might not be ready or able to come to an event like this. Yeah, Mark.
Can I throw out just a resource really quick that you might or may not, I'm hoping you know about this, but great resource, PFLAG, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays is what it was originally. It's much broader now. PFLAG.org. Not just for parents, I used them to try to talk to actual parents when I was coming out in my early 20s. So.
Yeah, PFLAG is great. They have most bigger cities have a chapter.
Surprisingly, you mentioned it and they say who?
Right, yeah, no, PFLAG is awesome. We also have an organization in Cincinnati called Transform, which is like a clothing closet for trans youth that they can come and select new wardrobe pieces, and also there's like, they're really well connected. There's not a social worker on their staff, but it's like, and while we're helping you pick out clothes, are there things going on socially that we can help to address and support? And that was one thing I wanted to mention is Mike, who I did this, developed this program with, is a licensed therapist, but we were really clear that we are not offering therapy, and that if there's an issue that emerges, say a kid expresses suicidal ideation, or we think there's something going on in the family or with the parents that deserves more than kind of what we're able to offer, we had a system in place, and this is all in the leader guide, but we had a system in place to say, we have these resources and we will divert people to a higher level of care if that's needed, but it was a support group and not a therapy group. And we worked, so like, really helpful to know in your context, if you were to do something like this, who are some mental health clinicians that I could reach out to if I had questions, or if something's like, oh, I'm not sure about that, to have that team of people. So we're going to, did anyone else have any thoughts, questions before we?
I can pass this off for her.
Thank you. Here, I'll send some over on the side. So this is a reading, again, this is on the website, by a Lutheran pastor named Asher O'Callaghan, who's a trans man, and I hope that we would read it just to get a sense for what are some of the types of things that we do together at Divine. So this is an example of something we would read as the whole group with the parents and the kids. There are 5 sections, and so let's just popcorn style, like if you feel so moved, read one of the paragraphs, and it's okay if we bumble around, but yeah, let's go ahead, somebody go ahead and read that first paragraph.
In the beginning, God created day and night. But have you ever seen a sunset? Well, trans and non-binary people are kind of like that. Gorgeous, full of 100 shades of color you can't see in plain daylight or during the night.
In the beginning, God created land and sea. But have you ever seen a beach? Well, trans and non-binary people are kind of like that. Beautiful. A balanced oasis that's not quite like the ocean, nor quite like the land.
In the beginning, God created birds of the air and fish of the sea. But have you ever seen a flying fish, or a duck, or a puffin that swims and flies, spending lots of time in the water and on the land? Well, trans and non-binary people are kind of like that, full of life, a creative combination of characteristics that blows people's minds.
In the beginning, God also created male and female in God's own image. God created them so in the same way that God created realities in between, outside of, and beyond night and day, land and sea, or fish and birds. So God also created people with genders beyond male and female, trans and non-binary, and agender and intersex. God created us. All different sorts of people for all different sorts of relationships. Created from love to love and be loved. In God's image created.
God is still creating. You are no less beautiful and wild than a sunset or beach or a coffin. You are loved. You have a place to be.
So that is a reading that we would open the group with, and I really love it because I think it's accessible, but it's also kind of,
Was this a reading that everybody did together? Or
yeah, the parents
did
exactly.
before they split up.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it just helps to have a framework for all of God's creation is diverse. You know, like animals and landscapes and everything. God created a diverse world, and so it makes sense that humans are also diverse, and it's not just like I said earlier, it's not a blip or a malfunction of the system of creation. It's part of, I think, the magnificent imagination that God has to create all kinds of people with all kinds of lives and identities. So we would do this reading, and then we would, the check-in question or the icebreaker for the day would be, if you were a time of day, what time of day would you be? So we would think about sunsets or more early morning, and then we would talk about that image of the sunset as being neither day or night, and how beautiful that is. And I'd also talk about how in Judaism, the time kind of in between night and day is considered to be the most holy. So that's why, like in Judaism, Sabbath starts at sundown, and it's kind of like trying to figure out what is that precise time at which night becomes day. Well, that's not as important as just realizing beautiful things happen in between. And for us as Christians, when we look at our scriptures, so much of it, so much happens, so much beautiness happens, beautifulness, beauty, that's the word, beauty happens in these in-between spaces, right? Like where Jesus is on a mountaintop, or there's journeys, and it's not always cut and dry. People's identities and just the wideness of Christ's love for all people that if we don't know the exact words to say, like Deneen was saying, we don't have to be perfect, we just show up. And that's what Jesus did, and I hope that we can do that too. So we have like 2 minutes left. If anyone has any remaining questions, yes?
I have a half a minute. Thanks, Father, for the question.
Yeah.
So, imagine we're here. I'm not going to bring politics into here, but I think what you're saying, your message to me might be essential today because of the current political climate that we're in right now. Is our youth and children are back into the closet, oppressed and oppressed. So this is igniting something that we
Yeah.
really very important.
Yeah. No, it's a really good. You're asking, have we seen kids going back in the
I think this is true. What we're doing now here is will be a need.
Yes, and I think something I've noticed is for many of us who grew up feeling oppressed by the church, we are on our own healing journeys, but we can't stop at the self-inward journey. We have to pass the wisdom to the next generation, and that's a huge part of this program, is saying we can do our own healing work, but we also can look to the future with hope for how we can change and impact lives.
So,
Oh, yeah.
it's important your work and the need of this work is very important.
Thank you. And I encourage you all to go and do it too. Yeah.
Well, it's important and beautiful. I have, my confidence comes from quick show of hands. Who's willing to go back into the closet?
Halfway.
I've been to, go to more rallies. I had a wonderful experience at a No Kings rally, which was very political, and my sign happened to say, more trans friends, less billionaires. And just a random scream out into the protest. And I had 3 different people come to me because I mentioned the word trans. And one was a trans woman, one was a grandmother, oh my daughter, you know, and it was just amazing, that little thing, and I was totally unprepared for that, but just the value of seeing yourself named really was important.
Yeah.
But yeah, go to rallies.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing is my wife is a nurse practitioner, and she worked with trans youth in Boston and now in Ohio. And the pediatrician who trained her would always say to the trans girls, when you're a little old lady, I want you to remember the blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, why do you always talk about when they're little old ladies? And it's like, he said, because I want them to know that they have a life beyond, I want them to see longevity for themselves, and just that, like you're saying, that representation, and just being able to say, I have skin in the game, and I'm here for you in whatever way that looks like, a sign or whatever, is so important. And one on this side of the room, yeah.
When you work with adults, this is very personal. Like, for example, my mother, I called her yesterday saying, I came here because I feel that I don't have support from my parents. And she said that all my support, what you're talking about, I have been always with you, but that's not true.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those parents that, I'm on my friends and I see that face my parents sharing, because my mother say, yes, we are okay with you, but don't tell your aunts, don't
Right.
tell your aunts. Okay, so
Yeah.
But she feels that she's just the perfect supportive mom.
Right.
She has gone above and beyond.
Yeah.
Supporting me, but I don't feel that. I don't know how to deal with this. I am an adult, she's an adult.
Right.
How we deal with this adult that she feels like her kid is still in a place.
I wish I had more time, and I don't have an answer. But I think that's part of the reason why the parents talking to each other, so they can learn from each other and not put it all on their kid. And some of them are grieving having a trans or a gay kid, and the kids don't need to be the place where they just, I'm doing such a good job. It's like, no, like, go talk to some other parents and learn some things, and then tell, you know, so I think having that network of parents so that they can do their own work in a way that's not directed at their children would be so helpful. It is 10 or 11, I'm happy to keep talking.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say,
if
well,
you need to go.
Yeah, well, I love this discussion that we're having, and thank you so much for being here, Jay. This is incredible, and I know in my soul, I now am carrying the thought that I am a puffin, which is just incredible.
I know.
So, will you all be at lunch today? Perfect. So, if anyone has any other questions or wants to continue this conversation, I highly recommend talking to Reverend Olivia and Deneen at lunch. In the meantime, though, we do have just under 15 minutes to get to our next workshop, and they deserve bathroom breaks, water breaks, whatever they need.
I'm
So-
already at this.
So we'll encourage you to head to the next session, and thank you guys so much.
I'm happy to give my email,
Yes.
if anybody would like it, yeah.
One thing I did want to mention for you